Well, hello again, Charleston Southern football fans. It's time for another edition of Buccaneer Update. I'm Rob Walden, along with head football coach Jay Mills. Buccaneers coming off of a 47-10 victory over Savannah State in their last game, now 2-3 on the season. And Coach Mills, it was without a doubt the most dominating performance of the year. I talked to you after the game. I know you were pleased with really the entire effort that you saw from your team. Largest margin of victory of the year, really all around a great day for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it was great to be able to do it in front of our home fans as well, too, in the low country area as well. But very pleased, and we had talked about building upon the momentum from the week before, and we certainly were able to do that. And we also talked about playing again to that level of excellence, regardless of what the score may be, regardless of what the opponent, who the opponent may be, and where the game may be located. And I really felt like our guys came out with that type of incentive, that type of focus, and it showed on the scoreboard at the end. And
I know you don't like to get too wrapped up in statistics, but playing a better opponent than the week before against North Greenville, you guys had a higher total yards on offense, really a much more efficient offense than the week before. Obviously, improvements were made in that area.
Well, no question. And again, we've wanted to have balance, and we felt like we really have a team that has an excellent chance to be balanced each and every week, and the run game helps the pass and vice versa along the way. And the other thing to note as well too is it was nice to have one of those games where we didn't have to play our starters the entire length of the game, and so a majority of those statistics happened really in 3 quarters.
Another fine day for A.J. Toscano, 21 of 26 passing, just a couple percentage points below the school record for completion percentage in a game. Leading rusher as well, had a 33-yard rush in the first half. A fantastic day, and really you can see his progression from game 1 to game 5. He's a much better player now than he was at the start of the season just a little over a month ago.
Well, we hope a lot of that comes from the difficult schedule that we had as well too, because no matter who we play, it's not Florida, you know, and when you have a team that returns 11 starters from a national championship team, I mean, that's what you'll focus on each and every week, and he had success right then and there. So he is reflective of our team, and I think our team really came out of those first 3 weeks a little bit shaken as far as confidence, but then have been able to build back to where they need to be these last 2 weeks, and now we get some momentum going into the bye week and conference play.
Huge day for Gerald Stevenson, caught 8 passes for 91 yards, also rushed for 2 touchdowns. I know it's a great weapon for you as a coach to have somebody like Gerald back there. It seems like every time you get the ball in his hands, it goes for 10 yards and another first down.
Well, and that is the reason why we try to get the ball in his hands as well, too, along the way, because he definitely does things very special with the football when he gets a chance. He runs crooked real well, is one of the ways I've heard it said before, but Gerald does well carrying the football and catching the football. The thing I like about Gerald, too, is he's very competitive. He's an effort-type guy, and so he gets better as the game gets more challenging along the way, too. So, and again, I really like the mindset of our team. He's reflective of that, too. We're playing with some guys that I believe are really tough individuals that are playing very much in a trustworthy manner and are playing with a lot of effort, and I really believe that we're going to continue to build upon that.
Defensively held Savannah State to just 10 points. You and I talked last week about the challenge that you guys had facing 2 distinctly different kinds of quarterbacks with Savannah State, and really you didn't miss a beat against either one of them. You held A.J. DeFilippis to under 50% completion. You didn't allow Curvin Curry to get out of the pocket and scramble for a whole lot of yardage. I know it's tough, and you mentioned that last week. It's tough to prepare for 2 different quarterbacks for one team, but it seems like you guys had both of them nailed perfectly.
Well, I think it goes back to your practice preparation and an emphasis, too, from last year. I mean, they hurt us in a number of ways, and one of them last year was we lost contain, and Curry was able to get a number of yards scrambling with the football as well as design runs as well, too. And so I know Coach Frost and the defensive staff really emphasized contain this past week and playing fundamentally to the best of our abilities what we needed to do. And so that showed up. And the other thing in the preparation was we did a lot of work of our offense versus our defense this past week, sometimes running our own schemes and a lot of times basically trying to employ the visiting team, in this case Savannah State schemes as well too, and it really, our guys really liked that. It gave them a good look at a faster speed.
It's a bye week for you guys, no game this Saturday, but it's not a week off. I know you guys have gone hard in practice. Talk about the things that you're trying to fine-tune. Non-conference schedule's out of the way. Big South schedule is looming. Talk about the individual facets of the game where you guys are still trying to get better during this off week.
Well, and we talked about that right after the game on Saturday, is that we're going to take a little bit of time off. We're going to give them Friday afternoon and the weekend off to basically just recover, maybe emotionally and mentally as much as physically from football, but we needed to push and work real hard until Friday morning. And the first thing we talked about was academics, making sure we have those in order with midterms arriving here shortly. And then athletically, just making sure one of the verses in Scripture talks about, you get your fields ready, then you take care of your home. So we got to get our fields ready. We got to mind business out on the field, and primarily it's fundamentals. We want to really work hard on the individual fundamentals, tackling, blocking, throwing, catching, and so forth. And I think if there's any one thing that we would put our finger on, I think if you asked anybody on the team that they say we need to work on, and that's ball security on offense and taking the ball away on defense. And so that's going to be a heavy emphasis this past week as well, too.
And then, like we said, 6 consecutive conference games to end the season. Big South Conference race, if you've been following it, and I know you do very closely, obviously, it's so wide open through the first 5 weeks of the season. Every team's taken a loss. Nobody, at least in the pre-conference portion of their schedules, really established themselves as a favorite. So even though you guys were picked 5th out of 7th, I know you're confident that you've got as good a chance as anybody to walk away with the conference crown in 6 weeks.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And our goal is just to improve. And we used a quote this past week by Chuck Noll was, we don't need to do the extraordinary things. We just need to do the ordinary things better than anyone else. We need to run our offense, defense, special teams to the best of our ability, and we're going to be able to compete for that title. And it's balanced. It's you got to put Liberty right on top because they're the 2-time defending champs, and so until somebody proves differently, they're the team to beat. But each and every week is going to be a challenging contest. I really like our conference. It's gained national respect. Because each team in the conference is playing extremely well, and not only amongst each other, but you look at some of the national powers and what they've been able to do, whether it be FBS opponents or whether it be FCS opponents, and the Big South Conference is really making a name for itself this year.
Yeah, I know VMI hung with Richmond. Liberty gave James Madison a good game. Those are 2 quality FCS opponents. Of course, you guys took the Big South Conference title, or a share of it, back in 2005. Talk about how this year's team, the 2009 edition, compares with last year's squad. I talked earlier this season with Tyrese Harris, one of the few remaining players from that team. He seemed to think that there's as much talent on this squad as the one that won the conference championship 4 years ago. Talk about, in your mind, how this year's team stacks up with the one that was able to take the crown.
Well, I think I would agree with Tyrese. Talent-wise, I don't think there's any question this team has more talent, but it's not always talent and ability that wins, and particularly in the game of football. It's a blue-collar nature, and it's a team that works together to the best of their ability as one, whether it be 11 men on the field on offense, defense, or in special teams. So we have good ability and good talent, but everybody else does, and like I've told our team, we can win every single game here on out, or we could lose every single game too. It's just a matter of us taking care of the business we need to take care of and to build one day at a time and one practice at a time.
So the Buccaneers are off this week after last week's victory over Savannah State. They carry a 2-3 record into the bye week. The next game is October 17th at Gardner-Webb. That's the Big South Conference opener at 11:30 a.m. If you can't make it up to Boiling Springs, North Carolina, that game will be televised regionally on Sports South. Head coach Jay Mills, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Congratulations on the 2-game winning streak. Best of luck in the bye week, and we'll talk to you at the same time next week as we get set for the Gardner-Webb game.
Well, you bet, and congratulations to everybody at CSU. It's really a team effort and a team victory, and everybody takes part in it, and everybody gets a share of the credit.
Absolutely. So that's head coach Jay Mills. That does it for this edition of Buccaneer Update. Don't forget, no game next week, October 17th. The Bucs are back in action on the gridiron at Gardner-Webb. That's an 11:30 a.m. start. For Coach Mills, I'm Rob Walden. We'll see you next time on Buccaneer Update here on CSUSports.com.